afternoon to all of our viewers watching today in our Facebook group. My name is Karen Seitz, and I am the lead teacher for our relationship course at A New Life Center. And I've been training in this work for almost 4 years, and also applying everything that we're teaching and all the content that we're giving. I've been applying that in my own marriage for the past almost 4 years. I started this work just about as soon as I got married, and it's changed everything and quite frankly saved my marriage. And today I'm here with Peggy Litt, one of the founders of A New Life Center. Peggy, would you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, I'm Peggy, and I have been working with both men and women for the last 10 years on their relationship with themselves. And this group basically the Facebook group has been formed with the same 3 principles that I work with my clients on. And they are: 1, I am responsible for my own happiness. And 2, I can only ever change myself. And the 3rd principle is intimacy begins with a relationship with myself. And we're here not just speaking words, we're trying to give you context for a brand new way to experience yourself, you guys. I read your posts and I can feel how unhappy you are, and you can change that. And that's why we are here speaking to you today.
Thank you, Peggy. Or were you going to say something else?
No.
Okay. So today we thought that it would be, we've been doing this a couple of months now in this group doing our videos, and we thought that it might be really nice today to do a review of some of the things that we've covered so far. And we're going to first look at how we look at relationships and those underlying meanings that are negative that we have in us, that we hold about relationships, and also looking at why we got into a relationship or got married in the first place. And then we're going to talk about the relationship killers that we've talked about in our videos so far, the things that are happening that you might not be able to see or be aware of that are secretly destroying your marriage or your relationship. And then we're going to wrap up in talking about what happens when you learn how to make yourself happy, why it's worth it to look into all these things and to try to see yourself in them so that you can change and do something about it. And that's where we're headed today. So another reminder that I think is important and worth mentioning, everything that we're teaching falls into the context of being with a good man, and that you're in a normal marriage or relationship with the normal kind of range of problems, but you're 2 generally good people trying to make it work, and that you're also willing to see yourself and take responsibility for these things in you. That's the narrow framework of what we're working with. And if you're confused at all on if you're with a good man or not, we're happy to help you with that. Either Peggy or I, you can reach out to us. And with that being said, we'll jump into our content for today and start off with looking at what we really think a relationship is and why we got into a marriage or a relationship in the first place.
Well, and when I work with people, because of past hurts and things, we form beliefs on what we think relationships really are going to be. And I worked with a client that gave me permission to read what she defined as her definition of relationship at a 10, which means she's fully charged about it. And she wrote, I am trapped. My life is my partner. I have no confidence in myself. I am angry and resentful. I have given up on myself. I have given myself away. I try and try, but it just gets worse. I am on a sinking ship. Everything I do is wrong. So you can see if that is her belief of what relationships are really about, she's going to lose herself immediately in one and be very unhappy no matter what is really happening.
Well, we go into this place of when that's what we really feel and experience in ourselves in a relationship, we automatically go into a place of protecting ourselves and putting our walls up. And then we're not even seeing things clearly for what they are. And we can't change our experience.
Yeah. Well, and another thing we really need to look at and be very, very honest with is, why did we get into this relationship? You know, I'm reading things that people are saying he was this way when we're engaged and he's still this way. Well, if you know someone is a certain way, and I've done the same thing too, we think we can change them, but that is such an unfair way to get into a relationship. You know, we need to look at why we really are in the relationship. And, you know, a lot of times it is selfish reasons, like maybe he has a good job and you think, well, I'm actually going to find somebody that can take care of me, or my clock is ticking and I want children, or I don't want to be alone anymore. It's just too hard. And we have to be honest about those reasons and own them before we can really start being in our relationship cleanly.
And I know for me, and I don't remember which interview or video that I shared this in, but I had to look at why I got married, and this was after the fact. I had buried it, so I didn't see this when I got engaged and then got married. But I had this kind of secret, covert desire and belief that my purpose as a woman, and in fact, the only way to fulfill my purpose as a woman, was to get married and to have children. And so the big piece of that for me was seeing that it was really about having children. And that's what I was trying to get to. And my husband was just the necessary pawn in that belief system, in me working towards that purpose. So how do you think I was going to treat him and show up in the relationship? Well, I treated him like a pawn in my life and was unkind and disrespectful. And we'll get into that in a moment when we talk about the different relationship killers. But these are the things, if we don't see that they're going on, then we're not really able to fully show up. And then what happens is we project everything onto our husbands or our partners and immediately think that they're the problem.
Well, and some of these things are subconscious. You know, you might get this little flag and then you go, oh, I don't really feel that way. That was just a silly thought I had. But we don't have silly thoughts unless we feel that way. So we got to be honest with ourselves about what's really going on.
That's a great point, Peggy. When I got engaged, I had this overwhelming feeling of no, this isn't what I want. And it was this fleeting kind of thought and this feeling that I was just desperately trying to shove down because I wanted to be married so badly for that external value I just shared. And I could feel that in me. I knew what was going on, but what Peggy said is true. We just shove that out of the way, because if I see it or really acknowledge it and know that that's me, then I'm going to have to do something about it. And then my agenda might be thwarted, or I might not end up with what I want. Yeah. And I think that's a great place, since it's already kind of popping up in our discussion. I think this is a great place now to talk about what are the relationship killers that are the reasons we are unhappy and preventing any intimacy in our relationship and causing that disconnection.
Well, and I think the first one probably would be expectations, because of why you're getting into the relationship, you are setting up expectations, and if you're getting into the relationship to be taken care of, you're going to expect your husband to be successful, but not too successful, because if he's too successful, he might leave you or somebody might steal him. And just all of this craziness that, number one, causes us to squash our husbands, so they, instead of actually supporting them, we're squashing them down so they don't get too successful or feel too good about themselves. In other expectations, oh my goodness, we're full of them. Even on dates, when we go out date night, we think we build something up in our head, and if it doesn't turn out exactly that way, we're disappointed, and then we start building resentment for our partner.
Yeah. And we've got I want to take a moment. We have a really good question that just came in that I want to take a minute to address. The question is, if I got into a relationship for the wrong reasons, is it possible to resolve that while still in the relationship? And that's a really good question, because it's absolutely possible. That's what I'm doing in my own marriage. I got into it for all the wrong reasons, as I just shared. And it's being willing to look at myself and take responsibility for those things that I'm able to work on that now. And it's just me working on myself. That's the really cool part about this perspective and this work in our program, is it's just me working on myself. And my husband then steps up and he changes because I'm doing the work, and I have a completely different relationship and marriage now than I did. And I'm so grateful that I can work on those wrong reasons I got married in the relationship, because I see what an amazing man that I am with, and how lucky I am, that somewhere deep inside of me, I chose him, and now I'm doing the work to make it work.
Well, and good for you, whoever wrote that. No one really has gotten into marriage for all the right reasons. That is just not how it is in our humanness. And that doesn't make us wrong or bad, but it does take a certain amount of courage to actually be able to look at that so you can change. So good for you, whoever asked that. Yeah. And you can change it, but you have to own that you did it, so you can let it go and open up your heart to your partner for real.
Yeah. And Peggy brings up another good point. We're working on normalizing these things, that we don't do these things or show up for the wrong reasons because we're bad or wrong in some way. It's just in our humanness. And the more that I can accept that and know that, and know that I build these things in myself because I feel scared and I'm trying to protect myself, the more that I can know that and accept that, it's so much easier to look at these things and move through them, and the change happens really rapidly.
Well, and please try and understand, men marry us for reasons that are not all clean too. We're human. Maybe they don't want to be alone either. So when you start working on yourself and can be really open about these things, you can actually kind of find a little humor in them. Once it takes a little while, but you can, because we're good people, and when we're honest, it's not hurtful. We're not trying to hurt each other, but we have to be honest, first with ourselves, then our partners.
Great. And so coming back into the things that kill the relationship, what are some of the other things that we've talked about that are important to bring up again or reinforce?
Well, external value, you don't want to be alone. Society says you must be a loser if you don't have a partner. Maybe your husband was very successful and you wanted to ride that wave. There's so many external value things. Children, of course, things like that too. And another killer is stuffing your feelings. You know, I was a giant stuffer. Never, ever did I fight. But because I didn't have hard conversations, I never had resolution. So I would just stuff and resent, stuff and resent. And you can't have a healthy relationship doing that. You have to have the hard conversations.
And you also have, I was a queen stuffer as well. And for me, it was not wanting to feel anything. So not wanting to feel when I was hurt or when I felt rejected or feeling, lost for myself and feeling disconnected. I didn't want to feel any of that. So I just stuffed it down and pretended that everything was great, while secretly from myself, because I didn't want to see it, and from my husband and everyone else in my life as well, I just pretended like everything was wonderful all the time. And these things that we're teaching, we can't pretend them. We got to actually get in there, and I had to learn how to acknowledge my feelings and be honest about what was coming up for me, so that I didn't stuff. And that was really hard work.
Well, and it really is a process of stopping acting and just being. I lived my whole life acting, trying to act how I thought I should feel. And you have to stop that and be honest and just let yourself be and let yourself feel what comes up and then deal with those feelings. And another killer, because what might come up in you is a feeling of being weak. And when we feel weak, we tend to want to emasculate our men and disrespect them. So, we project how we feel onto our partners. So if we're feeling really bad about ourselves, oh my goodness, our partners are dodging bullets left and right because we don't want to feel this. So we're going to have them feel it for us.
Yeah, and that's right, Peggy.
We're both good at that, or we're good at it anyway. Yeah,
and I would say that seeing all the ways that I disrespect my husband really as just a human being that has feelings and has his own doubts and fears and insecurities, that's been one of the hardest things for me to work on in my relationship, and really being aware of that. And then underneath that, recognizing that how I treat him and disrespecting him is really how I'm treating myself. And well,
I know I have 6 brothers and I love all them dearly, and I love my dad dearly, but I was never brought up to respect them. And that is such a different flavor of treatment of a person. I mean, it's a much almost deeper feeling than just loving them. And I never even realized I didn't do that until I started doing this work.
Oh, wasn't even on my radar. Didn't even exist to me.
No. Another relationship killer for those of you that have children is hiding behind your children. And I was also very good at that. I was a great mom. I wasn't that great of a wife. And you really have to put your husband first in a different way than your children, so you can be a unit and parent your children together, but don't hide behind them, because that'll kill your relationship too. Another thing that I did, and all of my clients have done, is losing ourselves in the relationship. We get so entangled with our partner that all of a sudden, I really did not know my likes and dislikes. I thought I was just easygoing, but I really didn't even know what I liked. And that's really sad because then I can't do what makes me happy. And then I resent my partner for me not being happy. And for a lot of women, things that make us happy are things that slow us down so our softness can actually come out, because we can't feel like women unless we are experiencing ourselves as our softness.
That's a really good reminder. And I came in to any relationship, including my marriage, having no idea who I was. So that was another thing that I spoke to in one of the videos, that I always adopted whoever I was with, including my husband. I adopted what they liked is what I like. Oh, you like hiking? I love hiking. When I never hike. I don't like hiking.
And look where it got you. It had you climbing 14ers,
Yeah, which not liking hiking in Colorado is quite the oxymoron. But yeah, I had no idea who I was. So how was my marriage, until I was willing to look at that and figure out what I liked and didn't like and really get to know who I am and have a relationship with myself? How was my marriage ever going to work, or any relationship for that matter going to work? It was, what I realized is they were all doomed from the beginning because I wasn't even there. Yeah. And it's really difficult to see that. We have another good question coming in, Peggy.
Oh, yay.
Might have you take this one.
Okay.
I'm like,
great.
I know the answer, but I haven't thought about that one too much for myself. Is projecting always emasculating?
When it's negative, it is. Yeah. And we don't really, I guess we could project positively, but I don't really think of it like that. To me, more than it's an observation of endearment, but if we're projecting, it's because we're not feeling good about ourselves and we're trying to take our partner down, whether it is subtle, whether it is under the disguise of nice. Yes. And we do know what we're doing, ladies. We do. We just try not to, and we try not to see the hurt in their eyes.
But if we look, it's all there. And if I slow down enough, like Peggy was just mentioning, then it's not always fun, but I catch what I'm doing in that moment, and I can catch the thoughts, and I've got to be responsible for that in myself to be able to see that.
Yeah. Another killer is doing life as shoulds. And I could not believe that I probably was doing my whole life as a should. And that means I didn't check in with myself to really see how I felt. I did it so people would like me. I did it for family. I did it. There was no me in any of it. It was to keep the boat from rocking, to keep people liking me, to keep me maybe successful, whatever. It was never checking in with me and seeing how I really, really felt about what I was doing. Go ahead, Karen.
I was going to say, I lived my whole life as a should as well. There, if I didn't know who I was, how was I ever going to make a decision or a choice about what I wanted in life? So I always did things from a place of what I thought I was supposed to do, or what I thought others wanted me to do, or doing things out of obligations. Well, this is just what you do for family, or this is just what you do for friends. And then there's never a self. There's never a me in there.
Well, and I'm never open-hearted in doing it. So it's never clean. There's never that warmth that should be accompanied by something like that. If we go on a vacation to see family just so they don't give us grief, instead of going somewhere, maybe to Spain, where we've always wanted to go to, and maybe go take a 4-day weekend to see family another time, we're going to resent our family. We're not going to enjoy them like we could. You know, you and your partner will probably start fighting during the vacation because neither one of you really wants to be there. It's so silly to live your life that way. And you know, you might have to slowly change things so you're not seeing your family every vacation. And, you know, that might cause a few hard feelings, but if you actually see them with an open heart, they'll experience you so wonderfully that they won't even be mad at you anymore for only staying 4 days instead of a week, because you'll make the most of the time you have with them.
Yeah. For me, it's really important to be myself and be engaged when I'm with family or with anyone, really. It's become a priority for me where it wasn't ever before. And in knowing myself, I know that I have about a 3-day limit of really being able to be engaged with myself and be present. And I do my best to stick with that, whether it's getting together with family or even sometimes we go on trips with friends, and that's supporting me. And when I'm able to do that for myself, I feel good about myself, and the people around me feel that and appreciate it, like Peggy said.
Yeah.
So should we talk a little bit now about what the benefits are, what we can hope to gain or expect to gain by learning how to make ourselves happy?
Sure, and maybe we should talk just a little bit of some of those things that will make us happy too.
Yeah.
You know, like take yourself out once every 2 weeks on a date so you can actually figure out your likes and dislikes. I mean, I couldn't have even told you what my favorite food was because I didn't experiment enough to figure out what restaurant really was my favorite one and what dish was my favorite one, and then expand from there. You know, I'm having most of my clients take themselves out on dates now, and it could be paddleboarding. Maybe you'll overcome so many fears and feel so good about yourself if you take yourself paddleboarding every other weekend for a day. You know, it's overcoming fears so you actually feel good about yourself and finding things that actually make you happy. And again, women, we need to find things that'll slow us down, like maybe gardening or painting, so we can actually feel ourselves as soft. And then you stop and go, wow, this feels really good. And if your husband would come home right then and see you as soft, he would melt. I promise you. Even taking Japanese beetles off rose bushes makes me so soft, and it is so lovely. I just keep going outside trying to get that feeling again. And I know it's just me, but we got to let it come out from us. It's not giving it to me, it's allowing me to bring it out from within me.
I think that's a helpful thing to realize. I think, Peggy, you said this way, you don't have to become it. It's already in you to be it.
Yep.
And uncovering that and knowing that as a part of me has been one of the biggest gifts I ever gave myself. And it's an ongoing recommitment to me to find that softness in myself. But oh my gosh, if I can see the changes in how my husband and I are interacting, if I'm being the ice queen and hard, and then I can feel that in myself now. I know when it's happening, and we're like this, and it's no fun. So if I take a few moments and go figure out what's going on with me and reconnect to myself as soft, and I come back out and I'm with my husband, it's a whole new experience. And we keep saying it's like magic. That's how much influence we have in a relationship as a woman, and they appreciate it so much, and it can make a world of difference in every aspect of your marriage.
Well, and this is the context that I spoke about at the beginning of this video. I didn't know what soft even was, much less to think I was innately it. But I promise you, ladies, as female, we are innately soft. That's why we're the nurturers. So it is in you. We just got to help you uncover it. Another way to make yourself happy, and this one's really intimidating, and you guys are going to get triggered, but read the book Real Sex for Real Women. You know, we all have so much protection around sex. And that book normalizes it. And a lot of the things your men may want to try with you, I know I had walls up against that. And sex isn't dirty when it is shared in fun and in love and laughter and in softness and gentleness. It's just something else that we can share with our partner. It isn't any different than you baking a cake and sharing that with him, really. It's just our beliefs that have made it such an emotional upheaval trap. And so please read that book, ladies, and try and open your heart first to yourself in sex, because it's really yourself you're hiding from, not your partner. If you can, I always told myself I did sex for my partner. Well, sex is a lot more fun when you do it for yourself. You can actually enjoy it.
Yeah. Otherwise, we make ourselves victims to the whole experience. And again, then we project that onto our husbands and we can never enjoy it. So it's a fantastic book to normalize and start to open up and see a new perspective on sex and your experience of it.
Another, please try and not set up any expectations. It takes all the spontaneity out of your relationship. If you don't have expectations, you're free to explore new things together, to actually play with your partner. You know, otherwise you're trying to corral the whole experience into that little box of expectations you set up, and you lose all spontaneity, and then your relationship gets very dull.
Yeah. And then you're no fun. And that was when I come into something. My husband and I went camping a few weekends ago, and we hadn't been away together in a while because of our schedules. And oh my gosh, the night before we were getting ready to leave, I caught myself in all these expectations, and I was being very particular and bossy and icy about how we were getting things together. And I had to stop myself and said, this is no fun. And that I was doing that to myself. I was taking all the fun out of it for me. And that's what expectations do.
Yeah. And ladies, if you can just let your walls down so you can be soft. When our walls are up instead of soft, we're stubborn. And stubborn, oh my goodness, as stubborn, we can be vicious, we can be hard, we can be obstinate, we'll be like children, push, push, push. We get going so fast. I mean, we actually created stubborn as like a 2-year-old, and you know how hard it is to control that 2-year-old, yet when we're stubborn, we're acting the same way. Only we're adults. Think of how unattractive that really is. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, but we all do it. But we need to stop. We need to grow up.
It's time, and it feels really good. I had such an aversion to growing up. Like, that's no fun. But really being stuck in that stubborn place and holding on to so many past hurts and ways that I thought my marriage should be and that my husband should be and all the ways I wanted him to change. When I hold on to those things so tightly, I am so stubborn, and it ruins how I see myself. It ruins how I see my husband, and there's no room for change. We're just going around in circles and staying trapped.
Well, and when you're stubborn, you are childlike, but your strength can't even come up when you're stubborn because you're going so fast, you lose complete connection to yourself. So if you let go of stubborn, your innate strength can come up and you can use that in your relationship. But it's strength in a relationship is knowing right from wrong. It's having integrity. It's being an adult. It's choosing the harder way. It's respecting your partner. And that's what builds intimacy in a relationship, not being stubborn and having your walls up and protecting yourself.
Can not find my happiness in that.
No. No.
So does that cover?
I think that's pretty much what I thought about when I was thinking about this video. You know, ladies, if you have good men, please take your walls down and be a real woman and allow them to be a man. You will fall in love with them for real.
Mm-hmm.
And you will actually love yourself, which is even better. You got to love yourself to be able to love your man. So
thank you, Peggy. And we have to be willing to go in and all the things that we talked about that were relationship killers. We have to be willing to go in and, like I said earlier, do surgery on those parts of us and remove them and look at them and move through them. And we can't do that on ourselves at the depth and the level that we need to achieve what we're talking about and being able to be happy and have a healthy marriage and relationship. I had to be taught how to do those things because our minds are so tricky and are so crafty at keeping us from seeing these things. We play this trick on ourselves where we convince ourselves that it's our husbands and what they're doing or not doing. So we need a guide and a teacher to help us uncover these things and look at them so we can really make the transformation that we're wanting to have in ourselves and in our marriage and in our lives. Because when I work on myself, it's not just my marriage that transforms, it's my whole life and every single area. So if you're ready and you're hearing these things and you're ready to dive in and do the hard work, because it is hard work, but it's so rewarding. If you're ready for that and would like to learn more about our program here at A New Life Center, please private message me or Peggy, and we'll set up a call to dive into your issues in your marriage and what's working for you and what's not, so that you can gain clarity that you haven't had in a really long time. And if you want to see and talk about if the program's a good fit for you, great. If it's not, we'll let you know. But either way, you will get so much value out of picking up the phone and having a conversation with either Peggy or I. So I really invite you to do that.
Well, and this isn't about helping you create this new illusion of being happy. This is about the experiential, internal experience of yourself as happy. Your heart, you will feel your heart sing and it will bring tears to your eyes and you will know why you're here. And you're here to experience yourself as happy, but you got to give it to yourself.
What a wonderful way to end. Peggy, you always have such a great way of bringing things together and give us such a great send off. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you to all our viewers. And I saw some great comments, and thank you so much for watching. And we look forward to next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.